Hello guys, good morning. So this is Sagar, your instructor. Yes, I've unmuted you guys, so you guys can also interact with me. I'll take some time to introduce myself. So welcome you all for the Python Ansible API Network Automation workshop. So this workshop would be conducted for 2 days, the same time 8:30 to 10:30, might be 1 to 2 hours. And I expect you all are from networking background, at least, if not from automation side. So there is no prerequisite to join this batch. But yes, if you are from networking, that would be easier for you to understand. When it comes to Python Ansible, I'll start it from scratch so that anyone who was not into this or who is trying to get into this, they all are helpful or they are getting anything out of this 2 days of workshop. Okay. So little bit about myself. I'm Devnet and CCNP certified, and I work as senior network automation engineer for my last enterprise company. And I'm trained more than 20,000 all over world. I've been training from past 4 to 5 years now. So I have trained corporate training for top MNCs, and I also have one-to-one mentoring, and also I have group batches where I have individual batches like 30, 40 participants from various MNCs joining. Okay, and my expertise is in enterprise security, data center, network automation, and also I'm preparing myself for a CCI security in the next 1 to 2 months. So that is my target for the upcoming year. All right, so that was little bit about myself, and I would like you guys to introduce yourself. I need your name. You're working for whatever company XYZ, what number of experience you have, and do you have any knowledge on Python or Ansible or API? Okay, a short brief is sufficient. So who is going first?
Yeah, hi, this is Praveen here.
Yeah, hi Praveen.
Hi, I'm working in the Gigaman Solutions. So I have total 12 years experience and have a good experience with the Python and I have a good experience with the network protocols, basic network protocols, and the APIs also have good experience. Yeah.
Okay, so what are you looking from this batch?
So I have a good experience on Scapi, T-Rex, and traffic generators and network, how to simulate the packets,
Okay,
read the packets. So I just want to know, like what all the other things where I can learn from these sessions. Yeah,
okay, yeah.
thank you.
Hello, Sagar.
Yeah, hi.
This is Arjun. I work for Philips. I have around 9.5 years of experience in networking domain. So I have a bit of Python knowledge, but I wanted to see more on API part and Ansible. So that's why I joined this batch. Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
Yes, who is going next? We have
Yeah,
a lot
hi.
of.
Yeah, please, someone there?
Yeah.
Yeah, so hi, Karthik Galotra. So I'm working in Novate as a tag senior tag engineer, and I have 3+ years of experience. I have worked with checkpoint firewalls and Palo Alto firewalls. So I'm currently into Palo Alto
Okay,
project.
what about your Python knowledge?
Yeah, so I have a bit of experience. As I have learned and deployed a project in Ernest and Young, which is a network automation project in which like it was a basic one. So wherein I it was basically connecting like logging into the automatic login into device and fetching the QoS device other details also. So that I have deployed in Ernst and Young.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and that was using Python and Django.
Okay. Uh, yes. So who else is gonna introduce? So anyone who is not having any prior Python knowledge?
Hi Sagar, this is Sachin here. I have 5 years of experience in network and security domain. So majorly I work on security devices like firewall. So I don't have any knowledge about Python and this API. So we have like thousands of firewall, thousands of switches, and we come to know the demand of this automation. That's why I'm interested to learn this automation thing.
Okay. Sure.
Hello,
Okay.
good morning, sir. Myself Sanjay Mukkanna. I am from manufacturing domain. I have little bit knowledge in Python language. In our automation line, we have some using monitoring of all cell-wise and plant-wise temperature monitoring. That little bit Python language we have using. And last year we have a CV program from IIT Delhi, 5G applications in IoT and AI. So for automation perspective, that's why I'm join this session.
Okay. Sure.
Thank you.
Okay. Who else? Anyone else who wants to introduce? All right, guys. So I think we can start now with the basics today, at least, so that all of uh, you guys are on the track, and then we increase the pace moving forward. So as you guys see, I have put a question. What are the challenges in daily network jobs, and why do you want to automate them? So I want you guys to give me at least 1 point each one of you. Why do you think we need to automate? Or also you can interpret it as what are your daily traditional challenges? So what do you normally do in your job that you think should have been automated to save your time or save some human error? What are those things which you normally do in your enterprise?
Collecting inventory.
Okay, so let's say collecting inventory. So this process can be automated so that when you do a troubleshooting or when you try to log in, the device fetch the IPs and credentials and take you in. Okay, what else?
In my
Configuration.
Okay, configuration. Basically, you push configuration to multiple devices, right? Let's say you have a change window and you have been asked to do a configuration change on 100 device. So you can write a automation script and get the thing sorted upon. Okay,
Device monitoring.
device monitoring. See, in device monitoring, usually what happens is companies spend a lot of money to third-party vendors like HPNA or CA Spectrum, PRTG. Now, since you have the open source method like Python, you can write a script and start monitoring your devices. So whenever there is an alert, whenever there is an event created, it will uh, trigger that alert, as well as it will convert it into a event to the monitoring tool, and monitoring tool will create a ticket for same. What else? Okay, I see in the chat some people say configuration, updating the firmware or OS, log collection, and fault reporting. Okay, let's say iOS upgrade. So usually what happens in iOS upgrade, there are a lot of steps. Like you first need to download the iOS file from the software center and make a FTP or SCP to the device. You will do the pre-collections, pre-checks. You will make necessary changes on the boot variable. You will do the necessary change on the config register. You will do a write map, and then you will hit on the reload button. Once the device comes up, what would you do? You will do the post collection. And once you have pre and post, what do you expect? You will create a diff check report, right? So these are the steps involved in iOS upgrade. If I say that inside this 2 month of class that we will start after your 2 free workshops, if we are gonna discuss this, how to create a diff check report by considering pre and post. So that's a good method, right? You can also implement the same in your organization and get that process sorted out. So many steps can be reduced by having one single script. Okay, what else? Okay, I see by Dhaval, scheduled backup through FTP. So we can have a periodic backup. So this backup will run without human intervention. So if an engineer is gone for vacation, not there for 10 days, 20 days, even then the backup will happen in the backend. Okay. And you can set the time. You need it daily 9 p.m. So it will collect it. If you need it only Friday 6 p.m., it's gonna collect it. Okay, so that is what called periodic backup. Okay, what else? Okay, Arjun says topology creation. So there are certain modules in Python using which you can create network maps. So you provide them the IP addressing and they will create a basic map like how they are connected. So for that, it will take the help of CDP neighbors. So it will show you something like this, that this device is connected to this over on that so and so interface. Okay, let's say R1, R2, R3, R4. Okay, what else? Okay, yeah, simple commands it can fetch. Let's say fetch of show commands. Yeah, Praveen, you have some input, you can let me know.
Sure. Yeah, network packet simulations.
Okay, so how is that?
No, like my testing devices need no, like a network packet. So no, like I just want to say example, if it's a TCP packet, no, like raw content is there. I just want to send the packet to do my testing, different packets, sync async
Okay,
packets. Okay,
okay.
so I can
Generate
send
some
that.
packet, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think you're using Scapy for that.
Yeah, yes.
Okay, yeah. So this is also important. In the automation scenario, you basically do fetch, configure, multi-device, audit report, compliance check. But there is also for some areas, some job areas where they need to generate the traffic like UDP traffic, TCP traffic, ping traffic, STP traffic. So there are certain tools which can do it. Like one example is Kali Linux. You can generate from that, but not all organization is gonna have them because of the issues that can have on the Kali Linux or the vulnerability that can have. So Python is another way to generate the traffic. There are certain modules using which I can say I need 10 ping packet to be generated, or I need 10 UDP packet to be generated. So that if I'm testing some protocol, if I'm testing some behavior, I know that there is a reliable source from where I can generate the traffic. So yes, this is also one of the automation, generate packets. What else, guys? Anything we missed, which we've been doing in the traditional networking? How about your knowledge on SDN concept, software defined networking? So have you heard about onboarding, license, the basic troubleshooting day to day, right? So SDN also is something where we can apply the automation. And yes, I usually get a question that if this can be replicable on security track, wireless track, data center track. Yes, okay. Python is everywhere these days. You can run across enterprise, security, DC, wireless, cyber security, okay, everywhere. Because you will deal with some certain tools, which is what you want to automate now. You might be working on some protocol, which is what you want to automate. You're working with the end devices, which is what you're trying to automate. It could be iOS upgrade, it could be anything. So automation is irrespective of the tracks. You learn from one point of view. Let's say you learn for EI, security, and DC. The same knowledge can be replicable on wireless, cyber security, and any other tracks. Okay, by making certain changes, definitely 5 to 10% changes you need to make it. Rest you keep the same. And learning Python is very, very simple. It's no tougher programming language. You cannot compare it with C, C++, Java, or any other program that you might have heard about. Python is very easy to learn. If you know the basic block, you can write any code as soon as we are done with 2 months of our curriculum. Okay, any other points that we think we can write?
Is it possible to implement in ACI?
Yes, that is what SDNI put up. It is possible. Okay, SDN is nothing but SD-WAN, ACI, SD access. So all the three corners you can apply this. And how it works is you can create bridge domains, tenants, multi-site. So you can write a code to automate the complete one side of data center. Okay, that's so.
Taking backups and
Yeah, backup I have already mentioned here.
okay.
Periodic backup. So anything else, guys? Because you all are from networking side, you might have seen one or other challenges which you think could have been automated.
Sure. Hi. Is it possible to collect memory profiling with the automation?
Like what is the percentage utilization going on? That kind
Yes.
of report?
Yes.
Yes, it's called audit report. So I'll tell you the scope out of audit report. Let's say your management has given you the task to collect the available percentage of hard disk or CPU or RAM. Usually what people do is they log into device and then fetch the details. But we can write a automation script. Using this automation script, we can fetch the required data. Now, how do we fetch the required data? Is by using something called as regex. Have you guys heard about regex anytime? Regular expression. So using regex, I can pull the necessary data I will apply a mathematical calculations, okay, and I'll convert it into percentage. So yes, it is doable. And recently, I did this in one of my class. Let me show you the output report just for your understanding how the output report would look like. See, this is one of the file which, see, something like this. So if you have thousands of devices, you will be able to fetch a end report. So this report was to collect iOS version, iOS path, uptime, config register. But then I gave a project to my batch people, enrolled people. I asked them to create a free space available columns and the total space available in that particular device. And in terms of percentage, what's the free availability? So basically, the report will say that this device has 60% free space, or this will say that it only has 23%. Okay, so yes, this is an audit report which we normally call. Yes,
Okay.
guys. Okay.
Yeah. So I would like to clarify a few more things regarding this audit report. So this is a general information about CPU CPU utilization and memory utilization. Let's say we have a firewall and we have multiple processes running in the firewall, and on an instance, the firewall is running out of memory condition. So in that case, can we automate a script to collect which process went into out of memory condition?
Yes, so you should know CLI commands for that. So with what command you fetch this detail, right? So that same command you should check it manually, and the same command you have to bring it in the Python automation. And from there you can write regex and fetch the details. So it is done using regex process.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Because certain devices will have 4 CPU cores. Some device will have 4 hard disks. Some will have the processes, top toppers we usually call. So in F5, we have commands like top. In Palo Alto, we have a command like show process CPU, which will give you the list of things. So we will take the same command, CLI command, and run the regex to fetch the top 5 talkers there and get the things.
Also, just one thing, Sagar, like if the Python is applicable to the cloud as well.
Yes, it is applicable to cloud.
Okay, but some people prefer Terraform, right? So, like, why is it like going the like what is the preferred method? Like, because other tools are available. So,
See, for cloud, I would recommend either go with Ansible or Terraform because they
okay,
have a easy way to integrate with them. Okay,
oh,
whereas in Python, I would recommend you do the automation over SSH or HTTP, which works the better.
okay, got it. Thanks.
The Ansible and Python is totally different language.
Totally different. The way of writing is also different. Even though Ansible is built over on Python, the way both operates are different. Okay, so here in Python, we have concept of libraries, whereas in Ansible, we have concept of playbook, which are nothing but in a YAML formatting. And on other side, the API automation, that's a total different way of automating. All right, so guys, I take this as the input from you all. So thanks for contributing. So let's move further. Let me ask you one more question. The question is, what are the different protocols that a device can be talked to. Let's say this is a simple router. So how can I talk to this device? What are those protocols?
SSH.
Okay.
Ping HS.
Let's say
Ping,
I want to,
SSH and HTTP.
okay, SSH, HTTP. What else?
Telnet.
Telnet. What else?
Is API
APIs are nothing but this ones. Okay.
or HTTP.
FTP.
FTP. Okay. Let's say FTP, SCP, TFTP, and SFTP. Okay. Is there any other way to talk to the device?
RPC calls.
Okay. Anything else?
Console.
Okay. Anything else? What about the graphical interface? How does it come?
That should be
HTTP.
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 Yes, so I can write it here itself. Okay. So I think pretty much we have put. Ping is not a way to get access to the device. It will just see if device is reachable. Okay, so I'm not gonna write it. I'll just cross it out. SNMP trace route. These are the way we can communicate to the box. If I have to configure something, so I have to use one of thing. Or if I have to extract something, so this is one of the protocol. Now, out of this protocol, not all are safe because these are UDP packets. Telnet, you know that it's a plain text protocol which will show your username and password. This is UDP. This is UDP. This is used for day zero configuration, like management IP configurations. So now you are left with, let's say, majorly SSH, which is a TCP protocol. Then HTTP is the next favorite, TCP. SNMP you can use for automation, but not to configure, but you can use it for polling purpose to discover the device. For that, you can use SNMP. And rest are your file transfer protocol. They are basically not used for configurations. Okay, not used for configuration or fetching the details. These are file transfer. Most of libraries like Ansible, like Python and libraries or Ansible, by default they will have SCP enabled, which is a TCP type. Okay, and RPC is also one type of connecting. It's called remote procedure call. But again, that depends on either HTTP. So now we have protocols like SSH, HTTP, and SNMP, and let's say SCP. So these are 4 protocols, but these are the 2 which can be used for configuration, fetching, iOS upgrade, or whatever. Whereas the rest 2 are only for polling purpose and might be file transfer purpose. So we keep them aside for now. So we will discuss more on SSH and HTTP.
What about HTTPS?
Yeah, that is a flavor of HTTP.
Okay.
Okay, that's a flavor of HTTP only. HTTPS is nothing but HTTP in the underline plus a SSL certificate as a encryption there. Okay, but it's a HTTP itself. Okay, now we will discuss more on SSH and HTTP. You know why these are used. These are basically used to take the control of the device where you can fetch, configure, pull, whatever you want to do it. Okay. Now, devices that's kept in the access layer or the distribution layer of your three-tier architecture, most of devices will only support SSH protocol. Okay, like your Catalyst switches, they all will support the SSH switches and some routers. Whereas your core layers, your next generation firewalls, your SDN solution like ACI, SD-WAN, SD access, there the controllers or the appliance, I'm gonna write it as appliance. Appliance is nothing but the firewall, okay? And the controllers in the case of software defined networking. There you will make use of HTTPS you will use it. So we try to automate this section using Python's library. We need to find the library which is capable of making SSH to the device. There are several libraries. Let's say libraries like NetMiko, Paramiko, Norneo, Nipam, PyNTC. So have you guys heard about this? At least one of them?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So these are all SSH libraries, SSH capable libraries. Whereas HTTP, coming to HTTP, which is also your API way, or I can say the graphical automation. What happens here is I can automate them via Python. Okay, the same Python which I wrote here, but not these libraries. I can make use of libraries like request library, if it's a REST API, REST conf example, or I can make use of NC client if it is a netconf basis. The difference is this uses HTTP protocol, whereas this uses SSH protocol in the underlying. Okay, one is example for HTTP, the second one is example for NC client. Request use JSON as an encoder, NC client will use XML as the encoders. You can also use Ansible for HTTP automation. There are Galaxy package. I'll show in the class like how do you automate a Slack or how do you automate some Palo Alto device or a F5 LTM over on API calls. And finally, we also have a API testing tools. Have you heard about Postman tool?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So using Postman tool, we can test the performance, we can configure, we can fetch, we can delete, we can append, we can also make a changes. And that API calls, I can convert it into a Python script, and then I can also run it via Python script. Okay, because see, I've seen some people who are thoroughly dependent on Ansible or API. But I've also seen some people who just use API for testing purpose, but then they would like to convert it into Python because they think Python is more flexible. They can write many more API calls. They can generate the audit report. They can uh, also keep the APIs in a Excel and read from Excel. So they think Python is more flexible for them. So they will do the initial testing on API tools and convert into a Python script. So I'll show you how this conversion is done. And also I'll show you all the three methods in this course of 2 month duration. I hope you're getting where are we moving or where are we proceeding right now, step by step. So any doubt with this slide?
Ansible is not applicable for access or distributed level of switches or router.
It is. Ansible supports SSH API as well. Okay, so with Ansible, I can automate the access and distribution layer as well. So all fine so far. Is there any vendor which is not getting covered here? Anything which you are working with any vendor, but you are not sure where it fits?
HP, we are working on HP switches. I don't know like how that API or something Comware, HP Comware. It's horrible to, I don't know, like I was not able to do anything out of it. So,
HP switch.
yeah, Comware.
How do you log into this devices via HTTP or SSH?
SSH.
Okay, so if you do it via SSH, then I think Netmiko can handle it.
Okay,
Okay, so you can
okay,
handle it via Netmiko.
okay.
Okay, so guys, any other such tools which are very rarely seen in the production, which you're dealing right now? Tell me some names.
Infoblox.
Okay, now what is that? Is it a switch
No, it's
router?
a IPAM, right? So like, if we,
IPAM,
yeah,
inventory management.
yeah.
Okay, and is it a graphical dashboard or what it is?
It's graphical, and we can embed code into that to fetch the inventory and maintaining like
Okay,
device. Yeah,
so
everything.
it's over on HTTP basis, and these guys, are they giving you any API calls?
Yeah, they have their own, I think, language, coding language or something that they use to write. We can use their own language or any Python or what any open source to integrate with it.
Yeah. So basically, they as a developer of that product, they will give you API calls. You have to test it here, and then you can convert it into any thing, or you can just use Postman itself to fetch or update your IPAM.
Okay.
Okay. What about guys monitoring tools? What is your interpretation? How would monitoring tools should work? Let's say PRTG or CA Spectrum or HP NNMI. What type of dashboard they give? You think from that point of view, right? So they are most of the time HTTP basis. So basically, they give you the APIs, and then you can automate using the Postman method, API test method, and you can convert it into Python. Or if you search in the Ansible directory, you can also find some Galaxy collection for at least one of them, might be PRTV, and then you can write a playbook using Ansible programming as well.
So in Grafana also, is it it is possible to implement?
Yes, it is possible. So it is a HTTP basis, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so you can do a API automation there.
Okay, one small question. Like, are you? Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, go ahead.
Okay. So, see, in our infrastructure, we are having 40 manager, and 40 kids are managed by the 40 manager.
Okay.
Okay, fine one. So, actually, we have a plan like in the coming year, like we are using ticketing tool as Solar Service now. Okay, so let's say if any user is having like hundreds of new address object which needs to be added on the firewall. So we have a plan that once we get this request, it should be automatically the new object should be created on the 40 manager. Then we will be able to push those address object on the firewall. So can it be done? Like
Yes,
it's one of the small module which I shared.
yes, it can be done via Ansible, and also API testing you can do it, because Ansible also has a FortiGate support, and for Forti Manager you will get the APIs as well, so you can
Yes.
automate via the API method.
In short, can you let me know the flow chart kind of the flow how it will be? Like we 40 manager can share can provide us the API
See,
which we can use.
yes, so see, this is your FortiGate Forti Manager, which is connected to all other appliances. So you will have a API collections, or you will have a Ansible collections, or it's called Ansible collection here. So once you have the respective things, you can either go with API way. So if you're going with API way, you will need tools like Postman. You will first test it if that is able to fetch, delete, create the block, and then you perform the automation. Or if you are going via Ansible method, you will prepare the playbook with the necessary jobs that you want to do it, and then you can automate via Ansible method.
Mm,
Okay.
Okay.
So
So
40 manager is your point of concern. So you have to find API
uh,
for Forti Manager, or else Ansible collections for Forti Manager, not for the FortiGate at the end.
yeah, I
Okay,
try to.
you will get sufficient APIs for Forti Manager,
Okay.
because it's a popular device, and there are a lot of people who are automating via this.
Okay. So Ansible is an option for me, which okay.
Yes, yes. Same goes in the case of Palo also. You have the concept of Panorama,
Yeah, correct.
right? And
Yes.
on the far end, you have the Palo Alto appliance. So same approach. We have APIs, and we have a very good Ansible collections for Panorama. Using this two method, I can automate the complete flow.
Okay. So actually, I'm very much new to this Ansible, so need to learn a lot of things. Let's see how it
Okay.
goes. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for the answer.
So, Sagar, just one question, so at this pace, what the industry is moving, do you think that network corporations will still exist in future? Looking at automation pace.
Sorry, I didn't understand.
Yeah, see,
Rephrase the-
yeah, since automation is in picture, moving in the future, network operations and support, will those jobs exist or not? That's what my question.
No, see, actually, these are script made by people, humans only. And
Okay.
also, this is not something which everyone can easily grab this or digest it. So still the technical people are very much involved or required in the enterprise. And behind the script also, I have never seen that people cut down the resources to get the things automated. Because if your automation has to be leveled up, it still need those people in the back end who can check how the things are going, if things are good, if there is any error or any device going down, they still need a human who has to report it to the NOC team, call ISP. Okay, it's
Okay.
just that some part, and it's a stress-free job, I can say. You can avoid making a basic human errors and all, but still in the back end there is a person needed who can visualize it and then accordingly do the jobs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it. Thanks.
But yes, definitely some human requirement also would reduce. If you need 10 people to upgrade thousands devices, now might be two people are sufficient. The upgrade will happen and two people will cross check if things are going well and bad. So that is why automating or learning automation right now is a good track. So you are with the industry standard.
Yeah. Right. Thank you.
Hey, Sagar, I have one quick question. Like consider a scenario where I wanted to connect to the device, first connecting to the RDP. For example, first I have a server where I wanted to connect it to it via RDP, and then I wanted to reach a device. So was there any module or library that could help me to connect to the RDP, like via RDP?
Okay, I'll talk about the deployment method. So your question will be answered here. Okay. So let's say there are certain ways we connect to the devices. So I'll ask you at the end, where do you guys fall? So let's say these are the devices in a remote premise. So you have routers, switches, proxy, whatever the customer environment. You being a remote engineer, let's say you are in India and this is in US. You might be provided with some VPN client like AnyConnect or Global Protect, whatever. You connect to the VPN, and over on that VPN, you get connected to the customer enterprise. Now you can take the SSH or HTTP straight away from your device itself. You can access all of these things. So in this scenario, whatever tools you need, whatever installations you need, you can do it on your machine itself. You can install Python, you can install Ansible, you can do the API testing, and etc. etc. Let's say in the second deployment method, you are in India, you are trying to connect to the customer enterprise, but the deployment method is that you first needs to connect their RDP. We call it as RDP, we can call it as VDI, we can call it as terminal server, we can call it as jump port, different names. So you first connect to them, and from that connection you will trigger the second connection. So this is your first connection, and then you have the second connections. Now in this method, there are two sub flavors. One is, let's say you are given the access to install the things. You can install the tools right away on those RDP machine. You might know that if you have a RDP or VDI based on Windows, some enterprise give you the right permission, so you can download Python tools and install it. So in this case, if you have the things installed here, you can straight away take the connections from there itself to the devices, the first connection. So you first connect to RDP. Within the RDP, you will install the tools, and from that tools, you will generate the connection. But let's say to B, the second factor. So in the second factor, you are in India, you are making use of a RDP, and from the RDP, you are connecting to the end devices. But now those administrator has not given you any installation or download access. It's a read-only server. So in that case, you have to install whatever on this box. All your tools will be installed here. So you will take a first connection via the script, and then you have to initiate the second connection. Okay, so this is also doable. We have a module called NetMiko, and it has a function called redispatch. So using this, I can handle the 2B situation. Whereas the first situation, I can have flexible option. I can go with any modules. Second option is also flexible, because whatever I want to, I can do it here. But when you come to 2B option, then you are having only very less opportunities. So these are one of them. NetMiko redispatch. So Bhavna, I think I answered your question here.
Yeah.
So where do you fall now? On the third one?
Two. Yeah, third one, correct.
Okay. So who is falling in which deployment method? Yes, guys, where do you fall? How do you take the access of your end devices?
I'm going with the first one.
Okay.
First one. First one.
First one.
Okay. No one with 2A or 2B?
Yeah, I think I usually RDP to RDP and then take the access.
So you have the download and installation permission on that
no,
server?
no, that is not there. Yeah.
Okay, then you fall in 2B.
Okay.
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 So in this scenario, the first one will be the best one, right? In my case,
Yeah, your case, you are in the first one.
suppose that RTP server goes down, then whole network you will not be accessed, not be able to access actually.
Yeah, that is. I mean, yeah, that is how they designed it, connectivity.
Right.
All right. So we move further. Yeah, go
Sagar,
ahead.
I do have.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, one quick question. So I have a scenario where I wanted to generate packets as someone have asked it. So I wanted to generate a traffic in a particular interval. So you were talking about Python. So was it be possible to do the same using Ansible?
Packet. Which kind of packet you want to generate? TCP packet. So
ICMP.
ICMP. Okay. Yeah, ICMP you can do it. You can do ICMP, but the other types of traffic you need things like Python's CAPI and all, which can help you with other traffic. Otherwise, if it is only ICMP, you can run it. It's a basic block here. You can run the repeat process and you can generate them.
Okay. So what if it was a TCP?
See, you can run TCP and ICMP you can run from Ansible. But if you need STP or the CDP, those things you cannot generate from Ansible. Might be if there is any Ansible package now, you can. Otherwise, those things you cannot from Ansible at least. Okay, basic TCP and ICMP you can generate. You can create the traffic, generate the traffic. All right, so guys, we move further. Let me write this topic. Certificate, from the certificate point of view, Python, Ansible, and API. Basically, they do not have any official certificate. So from our curriculum point of view, this is from your production or practical, I can say, practical knowledge. To test the certification, we have covered Cisco Devnet. Okay, Cisco Devnet 200901, which will have more topics from the API point of view, API or HTTP point of view, and very less from Python and Ansible. So these are the four modules that we are gonna learn: Python, Ansible, API, and DevNet. So first I start with Python. We will have Python theory and Python libraries. Once that is done, then we go with Ansible automation. Then we go with the API automation, and then we get into the DevNet. Okay, which almost take 1.5 to 2 months. And since this, you guys know, this is Saturday, Sunday only. So every Saturday, Sunday, it would be a 3 hours of session. Okay, starting at 8:30 a.m. India.
Sagar, this after completing this, if we want to take Dev Auto, is it possible, or it should we learn more on that, like in Auto for CCNP?
No, you can take anything. You can take Dev Core also. You can take Dev Core, which is the CCNP level of DevNet track, or you can take the CCNP level from Enterprise and Auto.
Yeah, NR2.
Okay, you can take NR2, you can take Dev Core, you can take any of this from the CCNP level.
Okay, but is there any short skills that I need to learn after this, like for an auto or something? Any idea?
Yes, so your concept, your topics will get piled up. You will be expected to have more knowledge on API, RPC, the virtualization concept.
Okay.
Okay, so some things will be stretched upon. When you climb the ladder, you will see things getting more and more in depth here. So in the DevNet, these are basic blocks, but when you climb the ladder, you will see that they are asking more and more from this.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
And you know that nowadays we also have a CCI track in DevNet.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, there is a CCI in DevNet, and if you're preparing CCI Enterprise, then at least there is a 15% of automation topic. Not only CCI Enterprise, all the CCI Enterprise, not even CCI, all the Cisco certificates have 10 to 15% of automation these days. So starting with your CCNA till CCI, any track, enterprise, security, DC, service provider, collab, whatever it is, there are 10 to 15% of automation included in the chapter 6. Okay, even in your CCNA point of view as well.
Yeah, I have recently taken enterprise core, and it is compared to the last what I took 3 years back. It is more difficult, to be frank.
Yes. Okay, so this automation they have added in all the Cisco track, and parallelly they also have launched a new track which called as DevNet. And in DevNet, from the associate level, the first 5 chapters are more towards API, virtualization, knowledge on SDN controllers, and the encoders like JSON, YAML, XML, and the best practices used by the software developers like software models, software models, or the TDD factors. So, okay, so there are a lot of topics which a software developers need to know, but they have included in the DevNet syllabus. Might be a fundamental or foundation for any person who is getting into automation needs to know. And in the 6th chapter, they have put the networking topics like what is a MAC address, what is a router, what is a switch, what is a ARP table. So the expectation from DevNet is any fresher who is trying to get into network automation from the day one, he can get into DevNet certification. He can gain the knowledge from the programming point of view. At the same time, he knows the basic on network side. But those guys who already have 3+ experience, 10+ experience, 5+ experience, you might already have done CCNA before, like past 3 years back or 2 years or 4 years back, whenever. So for you guys, the new track will have basics on automation, 10 to 15% now. Okay, so this is for someone who is experienced into networking side. And this is for someone who is a fresher and trying to get in the networking side. So 2 different tracks Cisco has prepared now. But that doesn't mean that experienced person cannot start with DevNet. Neither it means that fresher has to only do DevNet and settle himself. After pursuing CCNA DevNet, if his interest is more towards the networking side, then he can start with CCNA as usual tracks, CCNA, CCNP, CCI, because there are certain tracks here. Okay. And here as well, you have the associate level, the professional level, and the expert level now. Okay, so this is a little bit on the certification point. Yeah, Sachin, got any question?
Yeah. So does it cover version control system? Because
Yes,
I do see for Palo Alto there are ready-made Ansible script on the internet. So and those are on particularly GitHub.
yes. So here the version control, the GitHub, the Git operations. Okay, these are all covered in the DevNet.
Okay.
Also, there is a topic called CI/CD, which is more towards the DevOps. Have you guys heard about the DevOps track? Nowadays, this is also very booming. You might see people.
Yes, but this is particularly into software development life cycle.
Yes,
Is it the same in network and security automation?
it is the same. You still need to know the basic principle. You will not be asked to deploy the CI/CD pipeline, but you're supposed to know what that pipeline or workflow does.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So that is what nowadays they have included everything in the Cisco certification. So it's very vast now. CCNA earlier used to be just the routing and switching. Now they have included routing switching, they have included security, they have included wireless, they have bit on data center. So things are getting more and more for the newcomer or the fresher. All right, so guys, I'll just brief whatever we discussed. So we initially discussed about the traditional challenges that we have and how automation can help us. Then we discussed about the protocols via which we talk to the boxes, like we figured it out SSH, HTTP, SNMP, or SCP. These are major protocols using which we fetch the details, we configure, we take the backup, etc. And these are the protocol way using which we can automate it. So if it is a SSH, then I can go with a Python way or Ansible way. If it is HTTP or HTTPS, then I can go with Ansible API, and API I can convert into Python. So there are concept of libraries in Python. Then we discussed about the deployment method. Three deployment method we discussed. The first one being VPN. You can install all the things on your own machine. In the second method, you have the terminal server or VDI where you have the read and write permission, you install it there. And the third method is when you have the VDI concept, but you cannot install anything over there. You have to install it on your own machine. Okay, that was the three deployment methods. Then we discussed about the certificate. I considered Cisco because we are having Cisco Devnet in this curriculum. If you talk from any other certificate like Palo Alto, F5, Arista, okay, you can find some automation included in their certificate as well. But Cisco, being the major player, it has included 15% on all its tracks. And if you see the DevNet track, then DevNet track has much more automation topics these days. Okay, and then we discussed about few topics from the blueprint. Okay, now let's discuss about first library or first module or first programming language, Python. So for today, I will just give you some comparison, and tomorrow we will see the practical for whatever I am gonna talk right now. So do you guys know that Python needs library? Have you heard about libraries?
Yes, Sagar. We usually import it to the module.
Okay. So I'll give you one simple example, those who never worked upon. Let's say you have a smartphone. So usually smartphone consists of a hardware and a software. So within the software, you might be not happy with some native applications. Let's say you're searching for a music player. You go to the Play Store, you look for a music player, you will get hundreds of recommendations. Some are free, some are paid, some are having more reviews. You will check the top listed. You might install, but you're not happy. It is, you might go with the second. So basically, there would be a lot of recommendation. You will select one and start using that music player on your smartphone. So similar way in the case of Python, let's say you decided Python to be picked up as your programming tool when you had Ansible or API or any other language, Golang, or you had Puppet, you had Chef, whatever. You let's say you decided Python to be configured. You will deploy it on some hardware. You need your laptop, computers where you can install it. Now, how do we initiate the communication between these tools and your devices? So as we discussed SSH, let's consider SSH for now. SSH is one of that protocol which is highly used. Now what you do is you go to the Python's community, Python's marketplace, where whatever you can call it, and you will search for SSH library. You will click on SSH. You will get hundreds of recommendation. Now you will see the reviews. You might see, now these are all open source, by the way. Unlike your smartphone example, they are not paid. They are all open source, but there could be different factors for you to decide. Like what factors? Let's say some modules can have 30 plus multi-vendor support, whereas some, though they are SSH, but can only have two supported modules or two supported vendors, or might be six supported vendors. So this one factor act as a tiebreaker. Let's say you need a library which can do the file transfer because you deal a lot of iOS copy scenario. So you will look for a module which can do the file transfer on multi-vendor. So that is one decision making for you. The second one could be, let's say you need all the basic features like send command, config set, uh, fetching something, error handling, or file transfer. So that act as one more tiebreaker. So let's say config push, fetch, audit reports, okay, etc., etc. So this is also your tiebreaker. So out of hundreds of recommendation, now you will start trying one or the other, and then you come out with this list. The list which I had also put up, like Netmiko, Nornia, NEPAM, PyNTC. These are all that module which can do this factor. Now you might be wondering, do we need all of them? We don't need all of them. It depends on your requirement. If your requirement is for a small scale company where they need only automation to backup, to configure, to fetch, you can go with the easiest one. But if you get a mid to a large scale customer who has multi vendors like Palo Alto, F5 Altium, or a Huawei switch, or the Cisco wireless access point, now this cannot handle it. So for that, you have to go with Netmiko. Now let's say you get a requirement where they only have Cisco and might be some F5 and some random vendor, one or two vendors only, but they have 10,000s of devices, a huge number of devices. Now you cannot go with Netmiko, neither with this three. So in that case, you can go with Normia. Okay. So what was the tiebreaker in that case? Do you guys know why did I not go with NetMiko?
Scalability.
Sorry,
Scalability.
in the sense?
In the sense like the process time it takes is more in NetMiko it cannot handle it, but normally it can support multi-threading kind of thing.
Yeah, it's called multi-threading. Okay. Okay. So what is multi-threading? Okay,
it's like multiple, like consider a daemon, right? Like a process. It has multiple, instead of a single thread handling it, each process can have like separate threads.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
See, what happens is in NetMiko, I'm just giving you 4 devices as an example. If I'm making a SSH to first device, let's say it took 5 seconds to do the job and the elapsed time is 5 seconds. Now, what does NetMiko do is it will close that connection and re-trigger the second connection to the device 2. It will do the job. Elapsed time is 5 seconds. Connection is closed. It will go to the third device. Same job, same task, same elapsed time. And finally, it will go to the final device, close the connection. So it took you 20 seconds to get through with the 4 devices. If you add 400 devices, this also will multiply with 100. If you had 4,000 devices, this also will increase accordingly. So basically, NetMiko will have a higher elapsed time. Might be to deal with thousands of devices, it's taking 4 hours to 6 hours. Now, this can be a drawback because your maintenance window are usually 2 to 3 hours or 2 to 4 hours. And there would be multiple maintenance windows. So this in such terms are not good. But what happens in Normier in that scenario? Let's say the same behavior. You have Normier deployed. You have 4 devices. Since it has a concept of multi-threading, Normier has a potential to take all connections in a concurrent fashion. Now, this whole 4 devices are handled in 5 seconds. Okay. So there is one more point that you need to remember, that is utilization. Because wherever you're running the Normier, might be that's on the RDP server. So the administrator has given 2 GB of RAM and 2 CPU. Now, in this case, Normier might be able to generate 4 concurrent connections. But if you ask the Normier to generate 100 parallel connection, then server will get overutilized and the chances of freezing, hang, slowness, these are the challenges. So doesn't mean that if Normier lets you multi-threading, you will just flood it off. You will see your server potential, and depending upon that, you can multi-thread. You can multi-thread 25 devices at a time. You can also multi-thread 100 devices. You can also multi-thread 1,000 devices. But Normier are much faster because of the multi-threading concept. So for today, we will wind up here, and the same script between the speed check between a NetMiko and a Normier, we will check tomorrow in the practical, and I'll show you how much time NetMiko takes and how much time does the Normier takes, and then we will conclude in what scenario, what library to be picked up. So I hope I have kept it simple. So any doubt?
Sagar, I have one question here. Does it choke up a network bandwidth?
No, it will not choke up anything because it's only taking one SSH connectivity.
Okay.
Okay. The choke up happens on the server side only, where you're running the tools.
Okay.
So, Sagar, what about async IO? Is it a similar concept? Here, in case of Nornier,
Yeah, they are also using the multi-threading concept.
okay, yeah, that is async IO is like a part of Nornier or like which module basically? It's a completely different module. Like I saw that in somewhere.
Yes,
And
see, basically, Asyncio is when you have multi-threading concept. Okay.
okay, okay, got it.
All right. So the script is prepared, but I think we have discussed too many things, so I just don't want to, take it out of your uh, level. But this is what we will discuss tomorrow. We have a NetMiko script, and I have prepared a Nornier script as well. So we will do the speed test comparison for 3 attempts. We will capture them in a notepad. I'll show you how much time it takes for the first, second, and third accordingly. And regards to the number of devices, let me show you what would our practical lab look like. So I'm gonna have this many devices. Okay, so we have ASA, firewall, Arista, Juniper, Cisco router, Cisco switches. This is the lab which we give to the enrolled people. But so on upon their request, we also add like FortiGate or Palo Alto or F5 LTM. Those devices we add as per the requirement. Yes, recording is provided for all the live classes. I've also given you the course syllabus. So you can find all the outline here. So this is the first block. This is the second block. So these are some of the case studies that we will discuss in the class. We have NEPAM, PyNTC, Paramicos, CAPI, subprocess, Nornia. Then we go into the Ansible. So Ansible, we discuss Galaxy, Tower, AWX. This is AWX, not AWS, Amazon. So don't confuse. It's a Ansible product, AWX. Anyone heard about Towers or AWX in Ansible?
I have heard about towers, but
Okay.
it is used for like bigger automation kind of thing, right?
See, basically, towers are the inbuilt graphical dashboard for Ansible.
Okay.
Say, for example, Python is considered as a backend programming tool. So to
Right.
have a front end, we need to have extensive knowledge in Flask, Django, HTML, CSS, Bootstrap, JavaScript, correct? But in the case of Ansible, if you deal with your traditional Ansible, then yes, it's also a backend which is done via CLI based. But Ansible has a inbuilt dashboard, graphical dashboard, which is called Tower. Tower are the licensed product, whereas they also provide you AWX, which is an open source dashboard. Okay, so this needs to be deployed on a Linux machine. We get the dashboard, and from the dashboard, I can automate uh, running of playbook, or if I have the GitHub account, I can keep all my playbook in the GitHub and I can link it with the Tower. So it will run it from there.
Okay. Got it. Thanks.
Okay. And yeah, then we go towards the API, the Postman automation. So we go thoroughly with HTTP. So with the Postman API topic, I'll consider Palo, SD-WAN, ACI, F5. These are some vendors which have a very good API things. And then finally, we go with the DevNet curriculum. And these are the 10 projects that I will ask you to prepare. It's as per the completion. Okay. It's like, for example, I take some, let's say I complete one of the module. So that weekend, or once I get done with, let's say, some of this thing, then I'll give you one project which you need to do it and submit it, and we validate and we discuss in the class. Let's say after completion of certain more topics, 20% more topic, then I'll give you one more project. So throughout you will receive at least a 10 project from my side, and this 10 project, if you face any issue, we will discuss in the class, or we have a group where you can post your project or your script, and if you are facing any issue, then I'll help you with fixing that. Okay, so you will write your own script. That is how you will start learning, instead of you seeing me writing all the time. Yeah, so this
So,
is
Sagar,
yeah, go
like
ahead.
this will be shared to us, right? Because we want to learn little about that module so that it will be easier for us to understand in class. So,
What I didn't understand, which module?
I mean, like this document will be shared with us, right? This whatever you're going through.
This is our website URL. I've put up in the Zoom chat also.
Okay.
Okay, this is a URL, our website
Okay.
URL, where the modules are kept.
Okay. Okay. Got it.
Okay.
Thanks.
Is it possible to get a lab environment where we can practice accessing multiple device?
Yes, we are giving you this lab. It's a remotely label. We will assign you this lab, so you will practice on this. And as I told you, uh, as per your requirement, if you are working on Palo, then we will put Palo Alto for you. If someone is needful for 40 gig, we will give him 40 gig. Or someone needs F5, we give them F5 also, along with this things.
Okay, so how do you access this lab? Like RDP into something, and from there
Correct.
we.
Correct.
Okay.
We have a public URL. So here is where your account would be created. Okay, once you have the access, you will get access to this topology.
Okay.
You can access it from anywhere. You just need an internet ability.
Okay, and that one has all the modules and software installed.
Yes, it will have all of them.
Okay.
So, Sagar, are we covering anything about SDK plugins and all?
Which one?
SDK. For
Yeah, SDK is one topic in the DevNet syllabus.
Yeah, that is
Okay.
because for SDN it is very much required now.
Yes, in the DevNet topic, you have SDK included these days. So that we will cover here. See,
Okay.
SDK documentation for SD-WAN, DNA center, NSO.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks.
So those guys who need any further inquiries and all, you can just use this link and fill it up here, so that my backend team will call you up and clear your doubts. Okay, lab access or enrollment access, or what lab, or also we provide you home lab setup. The home lab setup can be replicated on your machine, but make sure your home lab has at least 16 GB of RAM. Otherwise, there will be a problem starting up these nodes. You may not be able to run them.
Okay.
Okay. So guys, we will wrap up for now. We connect tomorrow, same time, 8:30 India hours. And we will do the practical where I'll show you the speed test between NetMiko and Normio. And apart from that, I'll show you some API practical where we can do some API jobs like automation, like fetch or deletion of some block. Okay, and if time permits, I'll show you one Ansible script where we can automate and send a message over on Slack community if some task is completed, or if there is something done, then it will post a message on the Slack saying job is done, or CR 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is completed. Okay, so that depends on the time If it takes more time for our API and Python, then I'll take this in the class itself. So any doubt of from today's class or anything on the outline or the syllabus copy or the lab access?
The real course would start from next week itself, or is it happening?
Yeah, see, basically we are going step by step. Whatever we discussed today, I will not repeat in the next weekend. So next weekend, I'll start with the Python theory straight away. Okay. So there will be no gap in between. Today was a demo. Tomorrow is a demo. From the third class, it's a continuation. I'm not gonna cover this to demo once again in the classes.
Okay.
So Sagar, just checking like what would be the time that course gets finished, like January, mid January?
Yes, almost. If you consider the Christmas and the New Year vacation approaching, so I wouldn't be taking classes in the last 1 or 1.5 week as well. Okay.
Okay.
I'll start it from, if we are left with the topic, then I'll start from Jan second week itself.
Okay. Okay. Thanks.
Might be the DevNet portion we have to start after the vacation.
Okay. Okay. Thanks.
And the class timing should be same, na? 8:30 to 11:30.
Yes, that will be same.
Saturday, Sunday.
Saturday, Sunday. All right, guys. So any further doubt, you reach out to the backend and they will help you. Let's connect tomorrow. Have a nice day. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Sagar. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.